Ladies and gentlemen, as you join me here tonight, I'm sure there are many cares weighing upon you in your everyday life, many concerns which trouble you. Perhaps you're waiting to hear back from a job interview. Maybe you're a student and you are waiting for your college application to be accepted. I don't know when those come in. Perhaps February is the right time of year. Or maybe you're even younger and you're desperately hoping that your crush will text you back. Or maybe your car broke down and you're hoping and praying that the mechanic bill will not be too high. And I want you to consider for a moment how you would feel if those hopes were fulfilled, if those wishes came true. Because today, something far greater than any of that has happened. 21 Pilots have announced that there will be a music video for DragPath. Welcome to stream. How's everyone doing tonight? I am glad to be back streaming on the regular. And for those of you who are asking, this is not the first stream of 2026. I did a very quick, spontaneous stream on Saturday, which was then removed because of briefly listening to Heathens as part of it by accident. So, but it is the first official stream of the year of 2026. I mentioned in December that I was going to take about a month off from streaming, and ended up being about 2 months. So, I guess that's how life goes. Anyway, hopefully you can hear me okay. Hopefully everything's working. I think I had a false start there without the audio on, so that was a little awkward. But yeah, how's everyone feeling? That's crazy. I was not expecting this. This news came in as I was setting up the stream for tonight, so I had to kind of shuffle some things around, because it's definitely something to talk about. DragPath release is better than a crush. My crush added me in a roll call. To be honest, I don't even know what that is. I don't know either. You're gonna have to figure that out on your own. I don't think, maybe someone here knows what that is, but I feel like garbage, but at 6 p.m. tomorrow I won't. Exactly. Let's see what else I missed. Not stream. Yes, I streamed Saturday. Yep. No sound. Yes, that was awkward. Question, Clicky, good to see you actually here. Bandita, good to see you. Rager? I think I've seen you before. IEUA69, thank you for being here. Our loyal channel member is showing up. My dad just shattered his finger on Thursday, waiting to hear back from a job interview, and has another job interview tomorrow. Wow, I really hit the nail on the head, I guess. I'm so excited about the release, but I'm not optimistic about the edit version. Yeah, we'll talk about that. More Than We Ever Imagined comes out my 21st birthday. That's not related to anything. It's just really cool. That is really cool. That's related to 21 Pilots. What do you mean it's not related to anything? That's really cool. So, yeah, let's take a look at the teaser that they put out. I'm sure at this point, many of you have already seen it. Tally is my true love, just have to tell you. I'll have to see how disappointed you are after the polling finishes up this week. All right, hopefully. Last time, on Saturday, audio worked fine, which shocked me. So hopefully audio works well tonight as well. I'm really excited for the music video. I'm also performing City Walls on the drums at an open mic for my college. Awesome. College exams. College exams? In February? Are they like midterms? What's going on? Can you hear that audio? Is it okay? Is it a little too loud? Do I need to... Maybe I need to move this. How about now?
Hey,
Audio good? Audio good? Still processing City Walls. I'm not ready for DragPath. Let me know if you can hear it okay. I'm just going to move it over a bit. Loud and clear? All right, awesome. Just want to make this a bit more centered. Gotta be aesthetic with it. All right.
Hey, we have not wanted to release DragPath officially because we want to respect those that purchased it back when the album was being released.
That makes sense.
So that's why we've waited, but now we want to release it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna release it with a slightly different edit to it so that those who bought it have a more original version of it. So that
Did you say sound is off? Am I doubled?
what we're gonna do is we're gonna release it with a slightly different edit to it.
Am I still doubled? That's the real question. This happened last time where I did double up. And then... All good now? I'm good now? I'm good. No, I'm not good. Fixed it. Okay. All right. Let's just start over. I had the robot voices. I know. I have to do it from time to time. It's only fair.
Hey, we have not wanted to release DragPath officially because we want to respect those that purchased it back when the album was being released. So that's why we've waited, but now we want to release it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna release it with a slightly different edit to it so that those who bought it have a more original version of it. So the official released version is gonna be a little bit different structurally.
So I'm not actually upset by that. I saw some sentiment in the chat as we were getting started that some people, well, even after we got started, some people are a little wary about, how that's going to work to have an alternate edit, an alternate mix. And I do somewhat understand the hesitation, like what we saw with the chlorine and the hype alt mixes, quote unquote, where they just kind of cut out some of the best parts of the song, frankly speaking. And especially with chlorine being a comparable song in length to something like DragPath, it does make one wonder if they're just going to cut out something from the end. But I also do completely understand what he was saying at the beginning, which is that given that they put out something that was a limited run, limited time, exclusive release that people had to pay for, to then a couple months later go out and just release the whole thing wouldn't seem fair to them. DragPath, the Craving single version. Exactly. That's probably what's going to be. It's going to be a remix, actually. The sound of DragPath with the lyrics and vocals from the Craving on top of it. And so I perfectly understand the sentiment and the reason behind it. I mean, I think I'll let the video play out and finish in a second, but I think in a lot of ways there wasn't a perfect solution to the situation that DragPath had gotten into. And I think in a lot of ways this kind of is the best solution to that we could have gotten. Again, they might have done more to create an alternate edit in this case than they did with something like Chlorine as well. Am I still echoing?
Most of it's intact, but I wanted to save something special for those that purchased it originally. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, there's a music video that comes out with it that I absolutely adore, and I hope that you do too. And we're in our rehearsal space now, working on maybe playing this song live this year. So, I don't know. Hopefully you like it. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, we finally like the song now. Enough to...
Can you imagine?
In video.
Okay, I'm gonna... Hopefully I'm not echoing now. Hopefully enough things are muted. But thank you for bearing with me as I sort out these audio issues every time. So anyway, yeah, it's very, very exciting. Very cool to see. I'm very curious. There's a lot of speculation, obviously, as to what this is actually going to entail in terms of the video, right? Is it going to be a lore video? Is it going to be something more along the lines of The Craving or something like that? I don't know why The Craving came to mind, but just like a non-lore single. We have, let's see, we've got Haley Bailey in chat. Good to see you. Yo Pringle logo. Time for a rebrand. It's good to see you. Glad to see you here. Did you miss anything? We're not a ton. We're just looking at the news, the big news of the day, of the week, perhaps of the month. But yeah, no, regardless, I'm sure this is going to be a fantastic music video. And it's really cool that Dragpath is getting a music video, and in some ways kind of unexpected that Dragpath is getting a music video. Can you drop merch, just the color of your shirt you always wear that says your logo? So what would be really cool is if I could actually like merchandise out this shirt. Like not this exact one that I'm wearing, but like this cut or whatever, the style. But I don't, I mean, funny story, I tried to buy the shirt again to have a backup. Just a little peek behind the curtain here. Try to buy a backup of the shirt and it just doesn't exist anymore, apparently. So, but yeah, I'm shocked how last minute this is. Yeah, it's like they announce it and it's coming out tomorrow. I mean, that's not the most unlike 21 Pilots, right? I mean, especially since I feel like the Breach era, they've started kind of springing things on us unexpectedly, but no echo. Good. Dragpath about uses the Clancy Digital Remains lyrics. That would be cool. That's an interesting idea I hadn't thought of. Yeah. Or maybe replaces some part of the song with those lyrics, right? Maybe there's an alternate ending to the song that has the Digital Remains lyrics or something like that. My friend doesn't like you because he said you have no emotion, Perligo. Cool. I mean, I can't be upset by that, right? They've breached our trust yet again. Hey, to be fair, they never said there wouldn't be a music video for Dragpath. They just said there wasn't going to be any more lore, right? And they also said those visuals that people were speculating were going to be part of a music video were not part of a music video. So I haven't so far broken any of that. But like Doubt demo better than Doubt, honestly. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be quite the situation here, but that's also a fair take. Please drop merch. I'm willing to drop merch. We had this conversation on Saturday. I am willing to drop merch. I don't know. I'm not good at that, but I can do it. I don't know why I thought they both seemed a little matter of fact, a little apprehensive. I feel like this is going to be something big. Yeah. Yeah, I'm wondering if they're apprehensive about something important in the video or if they're just really tired. Ignore what I said. You're a great YouTuber. I don't know what the takeaway is supposed to be from that. So I'm a bad YouTuber. This is the literal definition of out of the blue. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's tomorrow at 6 p.m. Yeah, 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. That's when people typically drop music videos. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of, I feel like I'm a little all over the place just trying to process this as we're jumping in here, but taking a step back. Okay. In terms of this video having lore or not, I think it kind of at this point could go 40-60 is how I'm leaning. Because if you'd asked me yesterday, I would not have thought there was any more lore coming or that there would have been a music video for Dragpath, but now there is. And because of that, it seems to increase the likelihood that there could be some more lore coming or something connected to the lore, even if it's not anything new to the story, right? I think someone suggested either on Reddit or in the chat here, I can't remember which, I saw it right before I went live. Someone suggested that perhaps one possible way they could do this music video is have it be a compilation of scenes from the lore. Sort of like a recap of the entire story in a music video, which could be a really cool idea without necessarily like creating a new ending visually or anything like that. Because while I don't doubt they could do that well, I have faith in them to be able to do that. I'm not necessarily inclined to say that that's the best way to go right now. So I'm also like very I'd very easily be convinced that the music video is going to look more like something like Routines in the Night, which sort of you can read lore stuff into for sure, but isn't necessarily lore explicit, but it kind of feels like it exists on the line between those worlds. Drag path, but Tyler is driving on a literal drag path. Drag path, but Tyler's just driving through Ohio. Blasting drag path. The torchbearer finding the next Clancy. Yeah, see, the thing is, I wouldn't hate that in a music video, but it would very much seem to imply a sequel. And I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they're trying to imply a sequel or hint at it. I definitely don't think they want to do one. They said they were taking a break, but then this comes out of nowhere. I mean, yeah, so the thing is, I think the reasoning behind this is simply the fact that as we've been speculating for a while since Dragpath went viral on TikTok, that they were going to have to do something to capitalize on the fact that this song is blowing up and becoming one of their biggest songs, despite being unreleased. If for no other reason than to get it copyrighted correctly. I don't know. It is copyrighted, but like, it seems like because it's unreleased, it's not really being controlled in the same way. Controlled isn't the right word I'm looking for either. But it's being used in a lot of social media edits, I suppose, without referencing back to the band because the official audio doesn't exist on social media, if that makes sense. Tyler and Josh adore the video to Dragpath. I say it's fans or their children or families. Fans, I think, is more likely. Children or families, I feel like would be an odd vibe for this song. Not necessarily. They would have to do it in a very particular way. But I don't think it would imply a sequel, just the cycle repeating. Maybe. I mean, I think what it would do, and I think they know this, is that it would open up a lot of speculation that there was going to be a sequel. And then when there wasn't a sequel, people would be mad or whatever. You know what I mean? Do we think they filmed this music video at the same time as City Walls and shot an alternate ending for that, even though he said they didn't plan on releasing the song anyway? So maybe unlikely. Yeah, I definitely believe him when he says they weren't planning to release the song. I think that's very likely. Now, could they have shot an alternate ending to City Walls that they didn't end up using and then realized, well, Dragpath is going viral, let's capitalize on this, let's make a music video, here's some footage that we didn't quite fit into City Walls? It's an option. I believe Dragpath is about Tyler stuck in sin with the devil and wanting to find God. Can you find me? And soon he does, and as with God you found me. Yeah. I'm predicting lore or religious undertones with this release. Right. I mean, so that's the other thing, is it's like, if it's not a lore recap, which I think is probably the most likely lore kind of video that we would get, the other alternative is a Routines in the Night style video that sort of plays upon the themes in No Fun Intended, which I think you could do really well in a Routines in the Night style video. Obviously don't remake Routines in the Night, but that kind of vibe to a song or video, I suppose. Because I feel like there's a lot of imagery of locations described in No Fun Intended that could be used as a backdrop for a music video like Dragpath, if that makes sense. So like not recreating any of the songs in No Fun Intended, but just taking what is described as a physical location in some of those songs and making it Dragpath, the music video. You think it'd be different from what people who bought the OG Dragpath? Yeah. I'm just curious to know if it's like there's a section cut out and it just ends before that final ending of the song, or if it's alternate lyrics, as someone suggested, from the Digital Remains booklet, or if it's just a different mix in the music and some more instrumental bits. I don't know. Yeah, especially after the downstairs performance, I wouldn't be surprised if we get something with more religious undertones like we did in downstairs. Hope it's lore related, introducing the bishops. That could be cool. I mean, it might be a little confusing given that we've now been given a new set of bishops, and it would have to be clear which set we're looking at. But Tyler said it'll be different, probably just a bit shorter. Probably, yeah. Drag path, but it uses some of the cutting room floor footage that they never used. Yeah, that was sort of what I was thinking, because I think they mentioned in an interview at some point that there were parts of the music video for City Walls that they just never included in the video. Not credited. What did I miss? Not a ton. We watched the video announcement for the Drag Path music video, and we have been trying to figure out what it's going to entail ever since. I'm on standby in case they put out a premiere page or something like that on YouTube, because I'd be curious to know what the thumbnail is like for this video. I don't know if they're going to do that at all. I'm kind of expecting they will, because they have for most of their other music videos, but it doesn't matter what the video is. I'm stoked, but of course we're all thinking about the lore. Yeah, exactly. I'm excited to see it regardless, but I'm very curious what this means. You know what? I'll just rewind it and read the chats. Fair enough. What if the music video is similar to Intention's music video at the end of City Wall showing letters from Clancy? Like it's Clancy's drag path through the cycle. Maybe. Yeah, because I mean, I talked about this before, but there's a lot of mentions of evidence in Drag Path, and obviously the main piece of evidence that's labeled as evidence is Clancy's journal. One thing, someone else said something about, or floated the idea that maybe it's an animated video, an animation style thing. And it could, if they're going to do that, it could be cool to do something sort of bringing to life some of the sketches from that journal. And sort of doing an animation in the style of the drawings in that journal. But, yeah. My wife and I just watched the announcement video, so stoked to get out of work tomorrow. Exactly. Checking in every half hour for the premiere page. Okay, only in my imagination. You just let us know if it drops while I'm live, because I'll want to take a look at that. Montage of fans, BTS and previous music videos. Could be. Yeah, it could be kind of just a lore era, like a recap of Blurry Face onwards. Lore and beyond. All of that stuff. Get lucky to be off work tomorrow. Very nice. Very nice. It'd be funny if he was dragging through a desert finding water. Be very interesting, yeah. Tyler using the word adore makes me think it's not lore related and more of a Clancy music video style. Yeah, that is my inclination. But again, it could be an animation, something like that. I'm wondering, when do you think they made the video? I mean, again, it depends what it is, right? If it's an edit of previously shot footage, they probably put it together sometime in January, maybe. If it's something that I shot separately, I don't know, probably December or January would be my guess. Me and my two clicky friends are going to meet up and watch the Drag Path music video premiere together. That's awesome. Animation will be awesome. Wow, I'm behind on these chats. Shorter than the original or just another instrumental? I don't expect it's going to just be instrumental. That would be a little odd. So probably shorter. Maybe like the songs, the first physical releases versus the streaming version of Breach, maybe. Yeah, the word adore does throw one off, but you never know. It could just be Tyler being Tyler. Last music video in the Breach era, I expect so, yeah. I found a drop of water. Dragpath is animated, but it covers Clancy's arrival at Dema in the beginning. That would be really cool to see. Yeah. Honestly, any information they want to give us about the beginning of Clancy's story, where he came from, I'm down. I'm here for it. Dragpath alt version. I bought the song and uploaded it to my Apple Music library. I'm excited to hear the new edit and music video. Jokels on Dragpath would be cool. I think there are jokels on Dragpath. They're just subtle. 7-inch final. Yep. Yeah, that was one of my biggest issues with the Dragpath release. Really, my only issue with the Dragpath release is that I don't like just having a digital copy of it. I want to have a physical version of that song. Okay, pretty religious theory here, but bear with me. If Downstairs is about shame in not sharing their faith more, are we going to get a follow-through maybe in Dragpath? Could be. I'm still wanting to figure out exactly what Robot Voices is all about. Well, I have my interpretation, but yeah, I think there's a lot of competing theories about that. Physical media is awesome. Yep. Yeah, it's just an animation of a puffer fish floating around. Robot Voice is the only song I can't decipher the meaning of on Breach. Really? Don't have any physical media? Broke student. Oh, that's fair. Yeah. You don't need it while you're a student. I mean, I bought it while I was a student, but I didn't buy as much until I graduated, so. Gonna see if Genius explained it yet. Yeah, I mean, Genius sometimes itself has competing theories on it. Got a copy of Breach with Dragpath included, yes. Most of my physical media has been GIFs. Or a voice about people can be addicted to AI and treat AI like human. Yeah, that's sort of, my interpretation is more along just a simple technological line, but yeah. Vinyls and Blu-ray. What Blu-rays do you have? If you don't mind me asking. What did you study? What did I study? Robo Voices. I already read that. Well, in addition to the main bit of news, the big Dragpath prequel will be dope. Yeah, the big Dragpath announcement. There were a couple of other things I wanted to look at tonight that I was actually planning to look at tonight before they made this announcement. What did I study? I studied philosophy at an undergraduate level. So I'm not an expert, but that was what I studied. If they're going to do a premiere for Dragpath, I mean, I expect so. They typically do. Figured. Are you going to see the movie? I am. Yeah, Clicky, I should have made you guess what I studied. That's my bad. Missed opportunity. I think Robot Voice is about someone getting addicted to technology and waiting for someone to think they're cool, only to confide with the robots in a desperate attempt for connection. Yeah, I like that. I just have an associate's. I have an AS in nursing, but I'm not licensed anymore. That's pretty cool. I have respect for nurses. Live stream, yes, this is a live stream. Is there a physical video where you share... Is there a video where you share which physical copies you have? Do you have more than one Breach vinyl? So there isn't a video, but on Saturday someone suggested that I do a stream segment at some point going over my vinyl collection. So I'm planning to do that at least, and I can talk about CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays and things like that as well. I mean, obviously, you can see I have some back there. So yeah, I mean, I can do a like proper video as well. I just don't know how interesting that is to other people, but I do have more than one Breach vinyl. I have the FPE first pressing edition, and then I also have the Target exclusive. And I ordered one of the I keep forgetting that this exists. It was like was it Hot Topic or Blood Records, I think, did a liquid vinyl for Breach. And I ordered it, and now I don't know what's up with that. It was a pre-order, so I don't even know if it's shipped yet. But supposedly I have that as well. Hope we have teasers before they drop the video. I'd love to know what to expect from video. Yeah, at the least I want like a thumbnail, an image of what's going on. Can you guess what I'm studying? You are studying to be a vet because you are clicky equestrian. Ted, Men in Black, 1 and 3, Django Unchained, Princess Bride, a bunch of Disney and DreamWorks movies on 4K. Very nice. I respect it. You should go over your vinyl selection. That'll be interesting. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I'll maybe next stream, I'll bring that in. Kind of on that note. Again, I touched upon this on Saturday, which like kind of just got lost. That stream got lost to the void. So returning to streaming, I'm going to be adopting a slightly different stream schedule than I have in the past. Obviously, this is a Monday night, not a Wednesday. We're going to be moving to Monday nights moving forward. There's a number of reasons why that just works better for my schedule. And I'm not going to be streaming every week. So it's going to be, for now, every other week. And the reasoning behind that is simply, if I stream every week, that's basically the majority of the time that I have to dedicate to YouTube that week. And so it means I don't really have the time to work on longer, more fleshed out lore videos or things like that, or breakdowns of songs. There's a number of things like that I've been wanting to do that I just, in the fall when I was streaming every week, kept not having time to do. And so as much as I enjoy live streaming, I would love to be able to do both. I want to have more of a balance between them. So so that's the point. That's the plan right now. Mondays at 8 p.m. Every other Monday at 8 p.m. You see me a lot more. You see me at a lot more streams now. Okay, Sasha. Is it okay? Can I just call you Joseph? I don't. What night doesn't work for you? Because I think I'll want to start streaming that night. For the cover on streaming service, what's your best guess on the cover? Probably the one that everyone already knows. Wow, okay. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I should have just let you tell me. Because now you can lie. Now you can say it's, Tuesday night doesn't work. And that's your best night. So Neon Gravestones does deserve a music video. Yeah, for the cover art, I expect it'll kind of just be the cover of Digital Remains. Like the cover of Drag Path that everyone is familiar with already. But you never know. You're not saying nothing, that's fine. That's fine, I get it. The Digital Remains cover, yeah. It'd be cool if it was something else, but it's also like, I think everyone recognizes that already, so it kind of makes the most sense. Do you like to hear more music in Drag Path style, dramatic and epic? Yep. It was very reminiscent of Trench. And a lot of the songs like Bandito or Leave the City, even Neon Gravestones, right? Those kind of songs I like. I did not hear that the Manchester Orchestra drummer died. Was that like a sudden tragedy, or has he been sick for a while? That's sad. I don't know a ton about the band, but I mean, that doesn't sound great. Monday nights work great for me. That's great. That's awesome, Clicky Equestrian. You are very welcome here, unlike Joseph. Okay, I don't actually have beef with Joseph. Just in case anyone's getting confused. I know he knows, but you are a vet med. That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you think Tyler and Josh will do a release live stream like they did for Clancy? Oh, no. Sadly. I would love that. But I would be very, very shocked. Especially because it's at 6 p.m. and that would kind of be a good time to start a live stream, if not later, just given that people will be getting off work. I don't expect that they will. Given that they didn't do one for Breach either, I mean. More on 4K, but there's a video store across the street from my house, and they have a nice selection. Well, that is very nice. Nice and convenient. I'm more of a CD person than a vinyl person, but I love my silver vinyl with all my heart. I would have bought a silver CD as well if they had made one of those. What lore song do you think deserves a video? Bandito having a music video would be really cool. But at the same time, like, okay, in 2018, 2019, that period, I really wanted Bandito to have a music video. Sitting and looking back at it now, in some ways I kind of am glad it doesn't. I think there's something about that song being purely musical, and then the way it's existed as, you know, being sampled in Overcompensate, and then in the live Paladin Straight performance. It's almost like that song is sits above what any visuals could do, if that makes sense. Dire Straits philosophy in college too. That's awesome. Dragpath has the Breach cover. I'll be upset. I don't think it's going to be the Breach cover. I think it's going to be the Breach Digital Remains cover, which is slightly different. Like, I think it'll be this image as the cover. If Tyler and Josh were to make a new album, what do you think would be most like in comparison to their other albums they've made? Probably Scaled on Icy. Not entirely the same, but I think Scaled and Icy sort of gave us a hint, and then that combined with some of the sounds in Clancy, and especially a song like Lavish and some of the songs on Breach, it gave us a hint of something that they want to explore and experiment with more. It just, the time they released it, it didn't quite work to release it, and so there was a lot of, I guess, backlash from it, which kind of dissuaded them from doing that. But I think that's sort of a sound they want to experiment with more in the future, just given things that they've said when rolling out Clancy, for instance. That would be my best guess. In comparison, it's not going to be, I mean, every album that they've put out has its own sound, so I don't expect it's going to be Scaled and Icy 2. I just think of all their albums, that's probably the one it's going to be most like. What's the breaking news? I should probably take that title down now that we've talked about it. But the breaking news is that there's a Dragpath music video tomorrow. Want merch so bad. Need to listen to Trench on vinyl again. Yep, you do. Man, I'm really behind on chats. It's crazy. Gotta read faster. What's the news? I'm confused. Dragpath music video. Detail take. Good. I'm glad you agree. I have a theory. Remember when we saw clips on the billboards we've never seen before? What's if it's the Dragpath video and Mark's line about it saying it's from City Walls? Yeah, he could have been. Again, that kind of assumes that they always plan to release a music video for Dragpath. I'm kind of the opinion that they didn't. I think that was sort of a an in the moment decision as a result of its popularity. Similar to the Doubt demo release, right? They weren't going to release the Doubt demo necessarily. That clip went viral. They released the full song on streaming and then did a little music video for it as well, which is like concert clips. Skill Nicey is the album that got you into them. Interesting. Yeah, I've grown to appreciate it a lot more. I was just in the group that expected a follow-up to Trench in terms of sound and visual narrative. And so when Skeleton Icy hit, it was kind of unexpected. And it left me thinking that they had abandoned the lore, because we didn't get videos like The Outside or Saturday until much later. And so I kind of thought for a while they were only referencing the lore or the bishops or things like that just as a little bit of fan servicing to keep people interested. But they weren't necessarily like really working on that story anymore, and they were starting to move away from it. So obviously, you know, when we got The Outside in particular, I was like, oh, okay, they're still telling the story. But there was a period of time there where I thought it was over, and that, coupled with the fact that Skeleton Icy isn't my favorite sound from them, right? Like, I think it's a well-made album. It isn't my favorite. It kind of made me rank Skeleton Icy a lot lower for a little while. But it's definitely grown on me a lot, especially in the context of where it sits now in the entire story. So it's just one of those things that I think they were right to publish it when they did, right? I don't think they made a mistake in that. I think it's just something that had to grow on people. I think I'd like a painting of an exterior of the Dema Trench landscape. That would be really cool. Yeah, Blurryface 10th anniversary live stream would have been really cool. How long do you think it will be? Probably like 4 minutes. When do you think we'll get a good interview from Tyler and Josh, like from Zane Lowe? I mean, we got a short one from him with them after the contract or just before the contract? Or was it after City Walls? Now I don't remember. No, I think it was after the contract. It was after they had announced the breach was coming out, because they were talking about that, but I don't think the story had ended. If I had to guess, I think the next chance of getting something like that is whenever they return with a new album. Whenever that would be. I've not talked about AJR. I like some of their songs. I never really got into them. So 5 to 6 minutes, maybe. I think it'll be shorter than that. Like, I think it'll be somewhat similar to Paladin Straight, in that a portion of that track will be cut, be a shorter music video, and the full version will be kind of something that just exists as the song. Semi-automatic stream version. Yep, that was good. Yeah, all of those Vessel versions on the ukulele thing. He had some technical term he explained for what that actually was. I don't remember. Trench to Skeleton Icy could only make me think of Mute Math's shift from Odd Soul to Vitals. I was kind of bummed when the Zane Lowe breach interview was like 10 minutes or so. Yeah. It was much more informal. Do you think Trench looking like a cross on the map is intentional? Yeah. If I could pick one more lore music video from Trench, I would choose Morph. Especially now that we know what happens in City Walls. Yeah, that's fair. I think Morph could have been a really good music video. If they would have done 4 from Trench, 4 lore videos, that would have been great. Only in my imagination, are you heading out? It's good to see you, if so. Acoustic travel bass. Sure, I'll believe it. I'd like to have more Mute Math and 21Pilots with songs like Ode to Sleep, Garbage, Jumpsuit, Tally, City Walls, and Fall Away. That would be really cool. It won't happen, but it will be really cool. There's like a sub conversation going on. All right, so we can keep talking about this as the night continues, as the stream continues, but for the sake of time, there was a quick thing that I've been waiting to do, and it's going to take me like 2 seconds, that I saw on Reddit that I've been waiting to do whenever I got back to streaming again. Then I wanted to look at a couple of moments from Mark's Rock Sound interview. That was kind of the main thing I was going to look at tonight before everything. After the contract, yes. And then we're going to wrap up with a return to Perligo Ponders as well. I think they're quoting lyrics from Paul Meany's latest album, would be my guess. But what if it was the normal lyrics except the instrumentals are Leave the City? That would be interesting. Probably not. That would be interesting. What are your thoughts on the Raven Below? If the Raven Below is the band that was recommended to me on Saturday, I've not listened to them yet. But, so those are my thoughts. I miss when they did acoustic songs like they used to do. They kind of did it with Next Semester and Routines of the Night. Acoustic songs. You mean like acoustic versions? Because they did a couple at a K-Rock performance around the time The Line came out, like November 24. I started to get into JD. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, real quick, just so I can get this off my screen. This was a huge vibe shift. Very different to what we were just talking about. But I thought this was funny. This was floating around on Reddit. And it's an 8-hour flight. Pick your seat, but it's the Trench Saga edition. So before I give my vote, everyone put their vote in chat. I'm not going to look at the chat. I have mine locked in. I know what I'm going to say. Everyone vote real quick, and then I'll place mine, and then we will see how many of you were right. We've got, just in case anyone's confused, we've got the Torchbearer, we've got the Nova Bishop, Clancy becoming Nico. We've got the two figures from the End of the Outside, two Banditos. We got the dead Bandito that Clancy seized. Ned, Nico, Keons. This guy, not sure which bishop that's confirmed to be. Or wait, no, that's Keons. Never mind. This is the other guy. Jenna and Tear My Heart. The bishops from the Skilled and Icy livestream, Debbie Ryan, and the guy at the end of City Walls. And then we've got Trash the Dragon as well. All right. Hope you guys have locked in your answers. My answer, and it seems pretty straightforward to me. My answer is number 1. Now, the only issue really with this seat is that you're sitting right behind, or right in front of, I guess, Clancy, who's now become the head bishop of Dema. Little unnerving, but at the same time, you have the Torchbearer right next to you. So I feel like you'd be fine. And then you could actually finally learn the history of Trench from this guy. What do you guys say? Got a lot of ones. 10 or 1. 10's decent, but you're right across the aisle from a dead guy, and you're right behind another dead guy. A lot of 1s. Yep. 5. Okay. You're kind of around the Banditos. 5 or 2. Yeah, 2. See, I would be a little on edge saying number 2. Yeah, number 5 is kind of wild, respectfully. Did you watch Mark's interview? I did. We'll get to that in a minute. 9 would be pretty wild. I would not want to be there. I would choose 2 or 6. So I either want to sit between Ned, who I have a problem with, or Nico. Interesting. Or I want to sit next to the other Nico and across the aisle from another bishop. 9 might be worth it. 5 has a good point. All right, I'll hear out the argument for 5. I can kind of get the 5. 1, 2, or 10. 9 for the plot. Okay, fair enough. 7 is the safest, but you got to remember you're not just sitting next to this person. You're like behind. You're in the middle of all of this, right? So you're right behind Nico and a seized vessel and another seized vessel. Who is in the bottom right? This is Trash the Dragon. Take back 10. 3 so I could kick no. Fair enough. 1 or 5. I spent all my money on a JD ticket. Are they getting expensive these days? Pick 1. Yeah, you get a window seat and you sit by the torchbearer. It's a pretty clear choice, to be honest. I mean, you won't talk the whole time? Okay, all right, fair. You make a good point. Left of 7. So 2. About 4. Okay, that's fair. They let dragons on planes now. No, just the head. It takes up a seat, though, to be fair. They bought a ticket. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. I don't know. That's tonight's 21 Pilots game. So, if you guys see more of these that you want us to do on stream, I think it's fun. So, back to the acoustic songs. Like the Smithereens and Ride and We Don't Believe What's on TV. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be cool to do more of them, especially from Breach. We just didn't get an era after Breach, right? I mean, I guess we're in it now, but it doesn't seem like they're doing stuff like that. Because even with Clancy, we got the K-Rock performance with Clancy songs on acoustic. But I don't think that's going to really happen for Breach in the same way. 100% seat 1, I wouldn't feel safe near the bishops. I wouldn't think having Clancy behind me would be that bad, because Torch would be a good conversation. Yeah, and Torch, I think, would protect you, is the thing. Like, I think Clancy, as the Nova Bishop, is still kind of scared of the Torchbearer, in a sense. So, I think you'd be fine. I think you would be all good there. All right. If I can pull this up without too much trouble, I wanted to look real quickly at 3 or 4 different moments from Mark's interview with Rock Sound that I think was published today. Am I remembering that correctly? Anyway. Guessing based on the layout of small plane. I missed the explanation. Oh, I'm sorry. But yes, it was a plane. You're on a plane. Perligo, when you collabed with Stolen Potential, did he indicate at all when his reaction to Silver was coming out? So, I mean, yes, but I don't think you're going to like my answer. Because, well, okay. I'm hesitant to say this because it sounds a bit like a call-out. It's really not. I think you'd understand. We filmed the collab for that video in October, I think. The lore video. And he said he was going to film his reaction after that. And I know he has filmed his reaction. Or at least, I think he did. I'm pretty sure he filmed his reaction. But he said he was going to post the collab video on the JD lore like at most a couple weeks after we filmed it. And then the reaction shortly after. So kind of given, you know, if you take a couple weeks and turn that into a couple of months, proportionately speaking, it's going to be like 3 years until his reaction comes out. Something like that. No, I don't actually know. I just know he got really sidetracked when working on them. I think, in all honesty, he like left for a month and then it was Christmas or something. So, I'm like 90% sure he has filmed it, and so he just needs the time to edit. That's my guess. I don't want to speak for him, but I also will. So, I feel very confident that it'll be the end that they cut out because it ends on "You Found Me." The "you" being God. How would they portray God? Yeah, I mean, I think there are ways to do it without showing something that's supposed to be God, but I kind of get what you're saying. And it's also, that's the ending, you know. Only my imagination. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. See you in 2 weeks, hopefully. Should probably leave, but you don't want to. I mean, I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't leave and go study for your exam. But Out of 10, what do you think about the new JD song? I think it's an 8 out of 10. I think, yeah, 8 out of 10. I mean, I think, honestly, 10 out of 10 musically, and 6 or 7 out of 10 lyrically. I didn't think it was their strongest lyrically. It was really good, but just not their. They have better songs lyrically than that. As good as it was. So, don't want to backslide. Makes sense with the lore. I really did, Joseph. I really wanted to say 6 or 7. You got me. It's like every time I turn off stream, I'm just sitting here nonstop. 6, 7. Okay. Yeah, let's take a look at, assuming my audio works. Who knows? At this interview Mark did with Rock Sound. So I'm not going to watch the whole interview. It's like 20 minutes long. We don't need to go through all of it. Go watch the full interview if you haven't. There's a lot of really cool information, a lot of which I'm not going to touch on. I'm just pulling out a couple of moments that I wanted to talk about. And it's kind of like a great behind the scenes conversation about what to expect from the film. I wouldn't say there are spoilers here, given that this is all something that Mark is putting out publicly to promote the film. So he's not going in with the intention of spoiling it. If you wanted to go in completely blind, knowing nothing about the film, you probably should skip this segment. Just mute until he's off screen. And by he, I mean this. But again, I didn't think there were like severe spoilers or anything like that. So I thought Jay Joseph retired from music. Do you think he's coming back to make his own stuff? Maybe. I was shocked to see him doing a song again, but I also know that they're friends. So, can you do the hand thing and turn it into a short? Nope. And if you ask again, I will ban you. I'm kidding. I won't ban you. I cannot let Perligo get infected with brain rot. I mean, you can try. It's hard to avoid these days if you spend any time online, and I do spend some. Okay. What is this first segment about? Let me remember. Okay, this was interesting. So, bit of a context, because I don't want to play the whole question again, because we don't need to. He's talking here about a producer guy who's worked with them on previous videos and how he made cameos in different music videos from the Clancy music video set. Okay. Let me know. I'm going to play a couple seconds without unmuting anything and see if you can hear it without any echo from me. So give this a try. There's a chance you won't be able to.
There's this gentleman from Ohio named Nathan Bielski.
Can you hear that? Or is it muted? Perligo needs to read this. What? It makes me smile. Oh, it's very quiet. Okay, so it's probably just coming through my mic.
Position them there for this
How about
conversation.
now? Can you hear well, and am I echoing?
There's
Together as an idea of,
Very loud. Okay. Really loud. Okay. I'll turn it down a bit. No echo. No echo chamber. Yay, let's go. Better no echo. Okay, awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
let's position them there for this conversation.
There's this gentleman from Ohio named Nathan Bielski, who's been like a producer of mine. He did Overcompensate with me. He actually was in the Craving music video and the Backslide music video. He was in the Craving. He was wearing the suit and he was pulling the clay pigeon. Right. And then in the Backslide, he was working the counter in the gas station. Right. So he came in as like developing the documentary with me, and we.
Anyway, that was basically it for that clip. I just thought it was really cool. Little behind the scenes tidbit about 2 music videos from Clancy, The Craving and Backslide. I have more of a vivid memory of the guy at the end of The Craving. What I really should have done was pulled up stills from both of those, and I didn't because I got distracted because Drag Path is coming out or something. But yeah, it's cool. Cool little tidbit. Bro's like Alfred Hitchcock. Me? I'm not like Alfred Hitchcock. What are you talking about? Talking about JD? Or are you talking about Mark? Because you're probably talking about Mark. That makes more sense. Don't know why I assumed you're talking about me. I'm getting a little pretentious over here. The producer. Oh, yeah. There you go. Yes. Yes, I do agree. Okay, this clip is about car radio. This is probably the one that has the most spoilers for the film.
I think like car radio, Tyler appearing in the back of the room, having a drone there ready to go. We shot all the footage from sound check of that car radio moment with Tyler playing the piano. And we were like thinking, like, do we go about this where we kind of dupe everyone, and or do we shoot it as if it's the real deal, like with the stand-in, the body double? And we chose to use the body double. So if you look closely, you can kind of start to catch on, like, is that really Tyler? Is that someone else? And then it reveals that, like, yeah, that was someone else, and he appears in the back of the room.
So that's really cool, to me at least. This is one of the things I'm most excited about, having heard about this film. Because ever since the Clancy tour came out and I went to a performance and so on and saw that stunt, I've really wanted to see more of a behind the scenes look at how they pulled that off. You know, I mean, it's pretty easy to understand technically how they did it, but I sort of want to see it played out. The Prestige, exactly. So I don't know to what extent they're really going to show that off. I'm sure they're still going to leave some things kind of in the dark or whatever. It sounds like here they're just kind of highlighting the stunt double without necessarily showing the whole process of setting him up or anything like that. Which stunt? So the car radio stunt, where this was during the Clancy tour. Clancy dropped through a trapdoor and then appeared up on the stage, up in the balcony, excuse me. Trapdoor from the stage, jumped to the balcony. The teleportation trick. Little Church by Toby McIsfire. Interesting. Anyway, again, another short clip. Just thought it was interesting. Another reason to go see the film, in my opinion, honestly. And then this one, this is a longer one, so patience. There are 2 interesting things here to look out for. White Stripes mentioned, kind of behind the curtain look at that and a possible hint at future performances. And then also a bit of interesting information, a bit of an interesting development on the All Points East saga. Let's take a look.
But of course, over here, we're looking forward to having the band back over for All Points East in London in August, which is going to be very cool. I mean, their own kind of show. I mean, it must be nice, from your perspective, as the visuals get bigger, as the sites get bigger, there's more opportunity to do all these kind of bigger ideas that you and the team have had, right? Like to see the scale it's going at worldwide now. I mean, their biggest ever UK show coming up here. That's got to just be a joy in terms of expanding the crew, as you keep saying, figuring out all these kind of, it's a bigger toy box to play with, right?
Yeah, I mean, the coolest moment for me leading into this next string of shows, and at Alter Ego a few weeks ago, they played their White Stripes cover for the first time. And going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and seeing them perform that and make it their own was really cool enough. But then Tyler had the idea, it was like, what if we pull Jack White aside and like have him give us permission to play this song? And so I got to stand there with my iPhone in front of Mr. White. And just
so I don't know if anyone saw the performance that he's referencing. I didn't. I think it was a festival. Was it Alter Ego? Is that what it's called? Sort of at the end of 2025, I think. Anyway, I do remember that they played in that live performance. They played a cover of the White Stripes. So this is sort of, for context, the story behind getting permission from the artist himself to play it.
stand there and have him record to my phone saying, my name's Jack White and I give Tyler and Josh permission to do this song. Like knowing that going into these next run of shows and just I don't know, this tour is just going, this festival run is just going to be such a celebration.
It may have been iHeart, yeah. I could be completely blanking on that. I don't.
Because there's really nothing after that, right? It's kind of like not a farewell tour because
there's nothing after it. Kind of further confirmation, right, of the break after 2026. Not a farewell tour, at least, but nothing after all of this.
Obviously, they're coming back at some point, but before this longer break, they're going to take all the elements that they loved and add a few more things that they've loved over the last few years of touring and just make this new and fresh and huge. And All Points East is going to be amazing. I mean, I think we're going to try to shoot that in some capacity to capture that moment. Maybe not an IMAX release, but we want to document how much London has been a part of this fans' growth, the growth of the fans, how much London's been a part of this band's story. I mean,
bit of a teaser. The saga continues. What is going on with All Points East? Right? I mean, yet again, I mean, obviously, look, okay. In fairness, right? This is an interview being conducted by a British magazine with a Brit conducting the interview. So he's going to be more interested in the show that's taking place in Britain. Fair enough. But at the same time, this is yet again another sort of emphasis on this festival. Mark's response, you'll note, was not, oh, yeah, we're really excited to be back in London at another festival. It's always a good time. No, he was like, this is one that we want to really make sure to document and capture, even if it's not quite an IMAX. It's not quite an IMAX release, you know. But we want to document this one for sure. We want to make sure that we have footage because it's going to be an important show. So, All Points Up Festival, exactly. Again, the story continues, the saga continues. Can't remember if there was anything more.
They did Barfly. I was there when they did Barfly, and back in the day, and there was 100 and some people in there, and so to be able to come back to London and kind of show them everything the band has learned, and like, I don't know, it's.
Can you explain the Drag Path release? It's coming out tomorrow. I mean, if you want a more, I can in a minute, but if you want a more in-depth explanation, just rewind like an hour.
And we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge year for just festivals. I mean, festivals are crazy. It's just like...
Okay, I think that was basically all he said about that specifically. But, yeah. All Points, the All Point East conspiracies are being given further fuel. So... Lovely Minnie, good to see you. Yeah, I'm streaming on Mondays now. Every other Monday. So, I should mute. Or no, I guess. Hang on. Okay, that's not playing anymore. Cool. Yeah, anyway, I just, you know, those are just a couple of key moments from Mark's interview with Rock Sound. Go watch the full interview. Genuinely, there were another 6 or 7 that I almost pulled, but just weren't quite as important. I didn't want to spend the whole stream just watching the interview, essentially. So go watch it on your own time. Give the interview some views. It's great. And it's great to see Mark doing more of these. I hope more come to light as well. I mean, he's doing press tour in the next couple of weeks, so I guess only a week and a half now is left. Bro, Joseph, you good? More fuel to the Bandito campfire. Exactly. I did it again. I don't know what's going on. I did it again. Oh, was it the number of clips I was going to pull? Man, I'm cursed. I am cursed. All right. Bro is too unk to understand. What are you talking about? What does that mean? What is that sentence saying? I don't get it. I bought the mug. Which mug? Saying the numbers in sequence is not the same as participating in the meme. Thank you. Just because you're saying 6, 7 doesn't mean, doesn't mean anything. Unk equals old. Dang. Dang. I'm ancient. Did not know that. I wish they do another Ned's Cozy Campfire and put it on streaming. Yep. It would be cool to get those versions on streaming. It is a little tough to have to listen on YouTube all the time, but Grandpa Perligo. Yeah. Hey, keep this up another 20 years. I can start a new channel. And it's just me in front of a fire with a pipe. And that's it. I don't know. I don't know what else. I'm too old and tired to do anything else. So, gonna be vintage this year. You're gonna be 20 this year. That's crazy. I can't imagine being 20. So old, bro. Turned 21 in June. Gandalf, Uncle Perligo. Downstairs Ned's Campfire. Yep. Tell us about the war. I mean, which war? I saw them all. You bought my mug? This one? That's crazy. Thank you. I hope you like it. I like it. I don't pull this up here as a shameless plug or anything. In fact, I don't think you can even see it that well when I'm drinking out of it. I genuinely like this mug. It is very nice. If I do say so myself. I didn't handcraft it though, so I guess, I can only... I did decline, yes. I will say I am more than 18 and less than 80. So I'm around 60 or 70. Do I remember the Alamo? Does the Alamo remember me? That's the real question. Before time had a name, old. No, I time did have a name when I was around. Yeah. Not that old. Come on. Ninjago. The oldest in the chat. Maybe. I would be curious to know what the age demographic is of 21 Pilots fans. I know generally they skew young, but at the same time, there are those of us who have been listening since high school or whatever. So, kind of is at least getting away from just high school age kids. Greatest kids show. Ninjago. Imagine being older than 18. Bro thought he was slick. All right, so besides Perligo Ponderers, which we're probably going to roughly close with, that was everything else that I had pulled up. We can talk more about JagPath if you want. I just wanted to make sure to talk about the stuff that I wanted to actually talk about as well. Wanted the notebook. I haven't got the notebook. I am tempted to, though. I think it looks cool. Honestly, the notebook, I can't swear by in the same way, but it's father time to you. Been listening since I was small. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, people grew up with the band, and so in some ways the demographic is probably getting older than it was in 2015, I would have to guess. Dragpath is getting released, yep, it's getting released as a music video tomorrow, and then I think on streaming as part of that, but it's an alternate version. So, yeah. It's very exciting. When are you going to come on a talk about Dragpath after the release? So I'm planning to, after the release comes out on Tuesday, I'm planning to just do a video. And yeah, lost my train of thought. After the music video comes out tomorrow evening, I'm planning to do a music video. Planning to do a video about the music video. and just do that as a video. I'm not planning to stream afterwards or anything like that. And then I will be streaming again after the release. I'll be next live in 2 weeks from today. So that's the general plan. I can make a post about this. So I can also, I'm planning to kind of schedule out the stream ahead of time more, if that makes sense. Like the Saturday before the Monday, post a reminder or watch page for the stream and things like that. Perligo gonna drop a music video? Nah, I'm good. Yeah, it's awesome. Very excited. Very excited. So cool. Oh wait, there was a question from Joseph that I got distracted by and then forgot about. What's starting to show up in Perligo Ponders a bit more? Like, now that 21Pilots has kind of moved on in certain aspects, are you getting more JD questions, or is just things besides 21Pilots? Still overwhelmingly 21Pilots, but JD is creeping in. There was a request to do a dedicated episode just to JD, because in the past I've kind of just tossed those questions in with the rest. So I may do that if enough come in. Right now, I'm kind of honestly sitting about a month behind these questions, to be fair, because I took a break from doing them. So I think honestly, I might have like 3 episodes worth right now. And so we'll do one tonight and then one the next stream and so on. So yeah, but if enough JD questions come in, I may do a JD dedicated segment of Perligo Ponders as well. I was listening to them on and off during Blurryface and Trench era, fell off listening to them during the Skilled and Icy era, and really got into them during the Clancy era. Nice. But that kind of is my point, right? Like, even if you weren't actively listening since Blurryface came out, you've been aware of them since Blurryface came out. You've been a vague fan since then. So again, I think if I had to guess, the largest demographic would be between, I don't know, 13 and like 25 or something. But I think there still is more in the 18 to 25 range than there would have been 10 years ago. If you were to write a song, what do you think it would sound like? Bad. Like a cat was dying a long way away, but the echoes were bouncing off all the walls. I don't know. It's been a minute since I joined a stream. So this version of Drag Path dropping tomorrow is going to be different than the original. I wonder what it's going to be like. Yeah, I'm very curious. I think only in my imagination left, and he was the one who was checking up on I just checked, but checking up on the 21Pilots YouTube to see if they dropped a premiere page. Yeah, we're very much in the dark. I don't really know what it's going to be like. I think my theory right now is it's going to have a video that's not super groundbreaking, either a recap of the lore or something simpler. And the music is probably going to just be a shorter version of Drag Path. Is not liking the Blurryface album a hot take? I don't know. I see that opinion a lot, honestly. So I don't know. But it could just be a loud minority of people saying that. And holistically speaking, here, let's just no, that's the wrong thing. Is hating Blurryface a hot take? Okay, you can get smaller. All right. I got tickets to JD for all my friends. Awesome. Have a good time. Try to talk to them if you can afterwards. You're 42. They don't represent the age demographic. Yeah, but I also, you're not the only one, right? In the older generation who's a fan. There are a lot of others that I've seen on like Reddit and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm sure their YouTube, for instance, they have a demographic breakdown, but that's YouTube, so it isn't holistically representative. Maybe their Spotify is a bit more accurate. I'd be very curious to just know the demographic breakdown. But let me know if you want to stream for that. You want to stream Buddy for that. For the JD Perligo Ponder segment. If that's what you're talking about, send me a DM, perhaps. I'm not necessarily opposed. Part of me doesn't want the music video to be lore related, as I don't want the story to be something that I keep coming back to once it's finished. Yeah, exactly. Like, City Walls ended the story, but at the same time, the only reason why I think there's a possibility that Dragpath might be in some way lore related is because the song itself seems to be an alternate ending to the story or the ending that we got in City Walls. So glad to see other demographics interested in 12 Pilots on the lore. Very true. Remake regional best. I want JD's other albums on vinyl, but they replied to a YouTube comment of mine sounded like it wasn't a priority. Well, I'm curious what exactly they said. Because on the Twitch stream that they did on Thursday night last week, there was some discussion from the live chat there about the wanting to see more vinyls. And they said it might be more of a possibility than I think they had let on in the past. So I think it's an option, especially for Napalm. I don't know if they're considering the Haze, but it sounded like they were considering Napalm. And I think they've seen good success with selling merch in the past. So they're kind of more willing to experiment with older albums because they think they'll sell. Which is fair. I mean, pressing vinyls is an investment. It's not cheap. So Perligo on the 808s. Yes, Perligo would be my band name. Can we get a little taste from original songs? Some vocals, perhaps. No, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for your interest in my vocals. Maybe it's music. Could be an alternate ending of the lore. Oh, Connor Dean. Welcome. If you're still here, I'm a couple chats behind, but that's awesome. That's great to see you. Shout out Connor Dean. For those of you who don't know, Connor Dean is the director and cinematographer and editor of and sound designer of Shady's music videos. Mute Math, The Judge, and Hometown are all really good songs. So, okay. My music video making here, honestly. Yeah, Echo, I still think about Echo Chamber a lot and how good that was. That was fantastic. I know you didn't do you corrected me in the comments. You didn't do the camera work for that one, but you still did a lot. It sounded like, and the sound design on that's incredible. So, if the video is lore related, it'd be cool to see the story from the torturer's perspective. It's alternative. What is Perligo Ponders? You will find out. It's Q&A, basically. People ask questions or provide theories about the lore that I talk about. Joseph, that's exactly what I was going to ask. You probably can't say this, Connor. But are you at liberty to say or drop a hint? Are we going to get... Okay, how about this? Forget Better Dead and getting a music video for that, even though I'm very, very curious. Are we going to get more music videos for Silver? And I'm only going to ask once, and then I'll leave you alone. I'm not gonna bug you about this. But if you can't say, you can't say. That's fair. Or you might not know. You can complete the fifth. What was I thinking? Like the ending was what we wanted to see. What I was thinking is what like the ending we wanted to see. Got into the boys when holding on to you was on the radio. Unfortunately, life gets dark with addiction, but I'm glad I never really left. Yeah, that's great. Honestly, not sure. Fair. Thank you. I appreciate it. But no, that's great work. Something else I was gonna ask. I don't want to make you reveal too much, but I am curious sort of when you started working with the JD. Because I believe you did their first music video, right, for rose-colored lenses. But did you already know, like, were you guys friends before that, or how did that come about? Wait, what if it's literally a remake of City Walls? You didn't respond. Oh, I didn't respond. I'm sorry. What if it's literally a remake of City Walls? What if it's the good ending? That would be cool. I don't think it is, but that would be cool. Perligo's on the next top album. Yeah. Yes, you do need to add them on Twitch. Yes. I hope they stream again. They said they might stream again. So. So cool. Yeah. No, Connor's awesome. And again, I know I said this already, but if you feel inclined to post more of the behind the scenes of editing any of those videos for JD, sound design, video editing, any of that kind of stuff, color work, I'd be very curious to see that. Honestly, just in general, I think I and many others would be curious to see a behind the scenes video of any of the music videos for JD. Just kind of, I know you've done, I think there've been some like reels and things like that, but a full behind the scenes video would be cool. And you've done documentaries as well, but I guess you did, now I'm thinking about it, you did do one for Tell Me Something I Don't Know, so, but more would be great. Yes, Perligo and Josh are going to do on the alternate drag path. That is actually what's dropping tomorrow. So you can all prepare to be very disappointed. JD became my number 4 most listened to group since your video about JD. That's great. I'm very happy to hear that. That's great. Oh, this poll's still going. Hating Blurryface is apparently a hot take, but not so hot that it was a vastly overwhelming majority. So, Sleep Token, I think I heard one song. I felt a little indifferent, but if you have specific songs you want to recommend, do so. I have the feeling the next album will probably be the most definitely live Mexico from the movie or whatever. What? Correct, I did the Rose-Colored Lenses music video. I've pretty much been with him since the beginning. I met Jarrett when he was on tour with Jay. I was filming for Jay at the time as well. Oh, okay, very nice, very nice. Cool. Cool. Well, yeah, it's great. It's great to see you here. I won't badger you with too many other questions, but yeah. Since you introduced me to Jade, I've been getting as many people to go and listen to the music. Oh, there you go. Good work. Yeah, no, I discovered them because of Jay Joseph. I discovered Jay Joseph during the Skilled and Icy era because he was opening, and so I discovered that group. And then I remember when they announced Inverted Forest was coming out, that collab, and that kind of introduced me to JD. And I think at that point, JD had already released a song or two, if I'm not mistaken. But that was the song that got me exposed to JD, and then they released The Haze not too long after that. So what are they going to do with the 3 Columbus shows they recorded? Hopefully a live album. We'll see. But Trench is better than Blurryface. Why? Yeah, I fully agree with that. I don't know if that's a hot take, but JD are amazing. Yeah. Random question. How did you choose your iconic purple shirt? Well, it was many nights of thought. No, when I started this channel in 2023, I put on I was trying a couple different shirts, and I had a somewhat different lighting setup to what I do now. But I was trying a couple different shirts, and like none of them were really working with what the lighting and look was that I was going for, because the light was just like reflecting off the shirt. Weird. Anyway, so I put this one on, filmed the first video like this, or the first. It might not have even been the first video. It might have been the second or third, honestly. Like if you dig really deep, there are some videos where I'm not wearing this shirt. Oh no. So yeah, I ended up liking the way the light hit this shirt the best, and I just kept using it. So, and now it's like a thing if I don't wear it. I'm sure. I don't know. People have commented on it, at least at this point. And I don't know. It helps. It genuinely does help with the lighting. I am not good enough at lighting where I can like change out lighting from video to video without it being an issue. And as you can see, my lighting's not perfect, right? Like there are issues with it anyway. And so I kind of just want to keep everything as consistent as possible without changing else. There is a science to choosing shirts. I guess so. I don't know. Didn't realize we wear the same shirt. Well, that's good. That's kind of, that, you know, the shirt's not really the point of the video, to be honest. It's kind of a shock, I know, but like, yeah, any JD BTS would be awesome. You look like my cousin. Can you confirm or deny those allegations? I can confirm or deny them. Iris and Easier Wear My Jams. Sure, is part of your brand. I guess so. What's your favorite song off of each JD album? Rose-Colored Lenses, Napalm, and Tell Me Something I Don't Know. It was Entropy for a while. I think it's probably Medication now, off of The Haze. Probably Wallow. Wow, I don't... So, okay. I think I have to go Wallow, but it's either Wallow or Frostbite off of Napalm. And off of Silver, I think it's Echo Chamber. Although Reanimate has been growing on me a lot. Not that I ever disliked Reanimate. It's been threatening to beat out Echo Chamber. Okay. Wasn't my favorite song to begin with. Tell me something I don't know. Grew on me. That's fair. Make a merch shirt with this color. Yeah, Connor, it was good to see you. I don't know if you're still here or not, but it was good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. East is up. Got the gang here. We were talking about JD. Oh, Iris and Easier are some of JD's old songs pre the Haze. Okay. I've never really been able to listen to those. I couldn't find them, to be honest. Yeah, with that being said, let us, for the final segment of this stream tonight, move over to looking at Perligo Ponders. And then we will close out for the night. And look forward to seeing some of you, hopefully in a premiere for Dragpath tomorrow. We'll see. Maybe they'll just drop it. But I'm sure some of you will be in the comments section of that video, at the very least. So, I've never seen a photo of you at a 21 Pilots concert. Yeah, I don't think anyone's taken a photo of me at a 21 Pilots concert. I don't think anyone notices when I'm there, to be honest. I don't just wear the purple shirt, no. No, I couldn't risk this getting damaged in any way, because I would just... What would I do? Yeah, it would be funny if I wore it to a concert, but no. Imagine people cosplaying me. That would be weird. That would be a little strange. I don't think my 5,000 subscribers are going to get together and cosplay me at a 21 Pilots concert, but... I do always wear the purple shirt. See, no, someone else didn't notice. It's working. That's the point. That's the whole point. I might do that at the movie. I mean, good luck finding this shirt. In fact, let me know if you find this exact shirt, because I can't. All right, moving into the final segment of tonight before it gets too late and the stream gets too out of hand. And everyone leaves because it's getting super late, like 5.25 pilots. thank you for being here. It's great to see you, as always. See you in the next stream, hopefully. Have fun watching the Drag Path music video. Same to you. I should totally do that for show. I'm new to JD and love Silver. That's great. It's awesome. I volunteer as tribute. I'll cosplay you. Oh my goodness. All right. Hey, if you want, you're allowed to. I don't know why you would want to, but go ahead. All right. This first comment comes from Aimer the Gamer Guy, who we've seen in these episodes before. And as he mentions right here, I'm very honored to have been chosen question for Perligo Ponders, so you should be. I have another question, Perligo. Ponders, in both songs, Isle of Flightless Birds and One Way, they both talk about flying. In Isle of Flightless Birds, Tyler talks about how he wants to / will fly with no hope and no fear. He also talks about how he will plummet while singing. In One Way, Tyler talks about how he wanted to fly, but a system's coming in. Later in the song, he asks himself why he's still walking. Going back to Isle of Flightless Birds, Tyler does talk about how the demons and angels are flying while himself and others are walking. Do you think that these two songs have any sort of correlation with each other, or do you think that they're unrelated? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I know that there are some people that think that One Way is just about the band flying on planes, which I do believe is one meaning of the song. However, I do believe there's more meaning to One Way than just flying in a plane. Once again, thank you for choosing my question. Keep up the good work. Happy New Year to you too. See, very recent comment. Yeah, so in answer to part of the second part of this, I don't think One Way is just about flying in planes. I think that'll be very strange if 21 Pilots wrote a song just about flying in planes and had nothing else going on. And I think it's also pretty easy to see that that's not what's going on here, given that we have seen time and again the imagery of flying. Throughout all their, many of their songs, not just Isle of Flightless Birds and One Way, but even a song like Levitate, which is pretty much entirely dedicated to the idea of levitation, at the very least. Fly By the Dangerous Bend Symbols and Overcompensate, and in the journal as well. Dreams of Flying is also mentioned in the journal. There's this real theme and concept of flying. In fact, it's so prevalent throughout the lore and the story that I'm somewhat tempted to make a video dedicated entirely to it. Not because I have all the answers right now, but because I would want to spend the time finding the answers to make a video about it. Because I think it's a really interesting concept. Like in short, I don't have a perfect answer to this question. The basic answer is yes, of course there's a connection between the flight in One Way and Isle of Flightless Birds. Because there's a connection, I think, between all the references to flight that we see. All Tyler does is fly. Okay, real side note, since I got distracted anyway, might as well make a quick tangent. Okay. Never thought I'd be saying this. Imagine Perligo's shirt is a woman's. I don't think it is. You have to edit multiple videos at the same time. That must be intense. Okay, if you guys do, for some reason, go to the movie wearing a purple shirt in honor of the channel and the community here, right? I'm not going to pretend it's in honor of me, but in honor of the channel, everyone here. Do post photos of it to the community tab, because that could be really fun to go over in a stream segment after. Which side are the buttons on? Oh no, they're on the right side. Yes, the right side. I didn't even know. So, oh, he came back. 525 Pilots. Yeah. Go as Clan. I'm not asking anyone to go as me. Do not get it. Do not misunderstand me here. That is not a request. I'm just saying if you do, because you for some reason really want to, I'm not going to stop you. And it could be funny to go over images from on stream. In fact, I'll even just make this simpler. if you're cosplaying and dressing up as all for Clancy, a bishop, any of that kind of stuff to go see the movie, if you're dressing up to go see it in the theater and you are so inclined, post a photo to the community tab. We can look at those after the movie. Gonna pull up with 5 people all wearing button-ups. If you want. Purple button-ups. Going as a torchbearer. Very nice, yeah. It's a cycle. Again, I'm not asking anybody to go as me. All right. Back to this. So yes, I do think there's a connection between Isle of Flightless Birds and One Way. And I think there's another interesting element to this that you touch on here, which is that, and I'm trying to find the exact quote, Tyler does talk about how the demons and angels are flying while himself and others are walking. And so I think the biggest visual connection that we see between the lure and Isle of Flightless Birds is that moment in the Paladin Street music video when we see the birds flying around overhead, the vultures, the surveillance vultures, watching them as they come in. And so we sort of have this vision of flying birds, which it's different to flightless birds, right? But flight above us as there's climax to the story raging. And it sort of made me wonder if perhaps there's an implication here, and I'm not fully sold on this theory, but it's I think a possibility, that Isle of Flightless Birds is being sung from the perspective of a Clancy in a previous cycle who is not climbing the tower and fighting, but that there is another fight going on in that tower over Dema. And those are the demons and angels flying around above them as they fight on the ground. Because if we look at the fight that takes place in city walls, Nico and Clancy are kind of flying around as they throw each other across the room. And so perhaps it's a bit of a stretch, I acknowledge that. Like I said, I'm not fully sold on this, but I do think it's an interesting visual connection between, the representation of good and the representation of evil. Although you would probably arguably say the torchbearer is the more pure representation of good. Fair enough, but still like a representative of the good and the bad, fighting in that tower and flying around the tower as they fight. And so, biggest stretch of all time. Fair enough. But I do think it's an interesting connection. And whether or not that's specifically what's going on, it's yet another indication that imagery that we see in Isle of Flightless Birds is certainly similar to imagery that we see throughout the rest of the story, and vice versa. And so, yeah, I do think One Way is about more than just flying on planes. IE UA69, thank you so much for being here. Thank you again for your continued support as a channel member. It's always great to see you. I'm glad you're able to make it to these lives. And yeah, Perligo Ponders will be posted later as a video, so no worries about missing it. But so on the other aspect though of One Way and flying, just kind of purely talking about flying and sort of what we see in One Way, the idea of flying to me seems to sort of have an indication towards success or escape, maybe. Escape might be a more precise word. And so the success there is that he's always trying to escape. So if he does escape, he was successful in that attempt. And the reason I say that is because in Levitate and the Trench Saga, there seems to be a certain confidence that Clancy has that he's going to make it out. At least in the middle of the album, right? Or that at least that they'll win, right? Something like Nico and the Niners will win, but not everyone will get out. But there's a lot of sort of rebellion-fueled songs and letters there of, we can do this. And that's a hope that sort of fades and wanes and comes back as the story goes on. But a song like Levitate kind of seems to indicate that I can escape, right? Especially because that music video is him having escaped. He's in the Bandito camp. right? He knows how to levitate. He knows how to fly away from the things that are keeping him grounded and in the dirt, in the graves of Dema. And then when you get a song like Overcompensate about flying by the dangerous bend symbol, it almost seems to imply that he escapes in such a reckless way that he doesn't heed the warnings of those who have escaped before, whether or not they're past versions of himself. And so he flies by, he escapes in a reckless way. And then there are consequences to that. And another aspect, bringing it back to One Way, is wanting to fly, wanting to escape, but they said a system's coming in. I mean, what's the system that we hear about all the time in the story? The system of vialism. And sort of setting up flight against the system of vialism. Because there have been some theories in the past that flight is something to do with the bishops. Levitation is a power of the bishops and things like that. And I don't think it is. I think that is something that he's trying to do against the wishes of the bishops. And they, the system of vialism, stand opposed to flight. In a very, very simple surface level way, you could even see flight as just a trending towards an upwards direction, as opposed to trending towards a downwards direction to your grave, which is what the bishops and the system of vialism want them to do. So, in short, it was a bit of a convoluted answer, but in short, yes, I do think there's a connection, and I definitely think One Way is about more than just flying on planes. I definitely think there is probably a lore connection there, at the very least, something else significant going on. Next up, we have a comment from Krista with a K-21pilots. I was watching their collab with Roblox in that series, but specifically the Q&A. I noticed Josh, the Torchbearer, and Tyler Clancy I noticed Josh, the Torchbearer, said Clancy would be a good supervillain. This got me thinking, were they trying to hint to us very early on about what was going to happen, or is that just a coincidence? Do you think that they had the whole story planned out, except the little details, or do you think they added major plot points as the story went on? This is a very good question, and one which I don't know if we can ever properly answer. We have some indications from things that they've said that seem to lean one way or another. They've certainly have said things as late as 2024, the fall of 2024, that they were still working out the ending to the story. But then also that they've had an outline of the story mapped out since, right when Josh and Tyler started working together in the band. And so I think my inclination is to say this is probably just a joke that the Torchbearer made, but at the same time acknowledge that there is a very good chance that they were hinting at something. They were hinting at an ending that was going to reveal Clancy to be a more sinister character than we originally thought. So it's a short answer, but it's a short question. I think that basically is about as much as we can really say right now. Obviously, if any of you know specific quotes that provide further information about this, let me know. But I think they've never really explicitly said when they started writing the story or when they finished writing the outline of the story, much less the details. I'll just take a quick break reel here to catch up on some chats. Good night. I saw that. Second verse in One Way breaks my brain. One Way's a great song. Always thought of One Way without putting too much thought into it, as Clancy saying he's not coming back. The climb up the tower, he knows he won't return. Fair. Yeah. The Vultures were in the Dema edit. It was so exciting. A group of people should cosplay major clicktubers. Movies next week. Paladin Stray, I always heard flying while I find Nico. I don't know why. Oh, like flying instead of fighting while I find Nico? Interesting. I'm pretty sure it's fighting, but I mean, even in Nico and the Niners. Flying from a fire from Nico and the Niners. Clicking Equestrian, thank you for being here. You might have already left at this point, but it's always great to see you. I'm glad you're able to make more of these work for your schedule. Hey, Perligo, to celebrate Dragpath releasing tomorrow, I put out a video from the perspective of the citizens of Demo titled I Am a Citizen. Very cool. I'm going to forget about this as much as I might want to remember. If you want me to watch it, post it in the community tab on the channel. Just link. I think you can link. At the very least, just post that same comment and I'll just go to your profile. My ex-boyfriend took all of them, and he's the one who introduced me to the band. I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds tragic. Rocker, taking the words out of my mouth. Waiting for a train that'll take you far away. You know where you hope the train will take you, but you can't know for sure. It doesn't matter. Why? That's a great movie. Cool. All caught up. Awesome. All right. Next question. Moving on. From Circular Diamond, Perligo ponders, if this Clancy really did plan out his failure to break the cycle with the Torchbearer and Paladin Strait, this is, for context, a theory that I put out in my final theory before City Walls, so they could get the next Clancy farther. Is it possible the two try to involve Nico, possibly in the contract, when we see pleading to take the deal, in hopes to free him from his own cycle? Could this explain Clancy almost encouraging Nico to transfer his power to him when he was stabbed by wearing the red tape? Or is Nico's cycle and his eventual release separate from Clancy's attempts to be free from his cycle? Thanks for all the great content. Thank you for watching. If this Clancy really did... So, yes. Is it a possibility? Yes. Do I think it's likely? Not really. Yeah, not real. I think, I don't know. The contract is still a song which I'm trying to wrestle with. And yeah, I think there are a lot of different ways to fit that song into the story and the ending of the story that we got. Real quick, just as a tangent, in the past, it's completely unrelated. In the past, whenever we got to like this point in the stream, it would start lagging. Let me know if it starts lagging, just for the sake of curiosity. Hope it doesn't. Hope we're fine, but it always used to, so I just want to know. Going back, yes. Contract is a song which has always been hard for me to kind of place within the lore, because I think it's a little unclear what's going on there, and there's so many options. The Torchbearer was the one offering the contract. Well, the Torchbearer certainly was the one offering the coat, but at the same time, Clancy was the one singing, I plead, just take the deal. And so I think it's unlikely that they were talking to Nico. However, the caveat to that is, could this Nico also sort of know that he wasn't going to be able to be the one to break the cycle. He was going to have to become Nico, right? A past Clancy who became the Nico that we see in the story. Became Nico, lost to himself, but was sort of helping in some way, or at the very least, if he couldn't help because he was so too far gone, something deep inside him wanted this next Clancy to succeed. And I think there are moments which sort of seem to hint at this. And again, I'm probably reading too much into it, but at the same time, you could read this into it. Moments like at the end of Paladin Strait, which is then repeated in the contract and repeated in City Walls and all of this. That moment where he grabs Clancy by the neck and says, so few, so proud, yeah, so few, so proud, so emotional. Hello, Clancy. There's almost a sadness in his tone and his eye as he says that. Which, if you want to read into it, which why not, could almost indicate that he, again, wanted this Clancy to succeed, to break the cycle, and sort of knew in that moment that he wasn't going to, and he was going to kill that Clancy. And so there's just a real tragedy all around at the end of the story, where it isn't necessarily the case that Clancy and Nico conspired, they had this plan together, but sort of Nico knew that he was going to have to kill his Clancy for them to have any hope of breaking the cycle down the road, and that filled him with sadness, but it was what he had to do. And you almost get the sentiment at the end of City Walls, right after he stabbed Clancy, and then he goes and breaks the antlers, right? He doesn't look happy that he just defeated his enemy. He looks sad and heartbroken, right? At the very least, very grim and somber. Nico's definitely been corrupted by evil and no one wants to help Clancy. I mean, yes, so I get that, but it's also like, is the same thing true of this current Nico? And if it's not true of this current Nico, who's to say it's not in some way not true of the past one, if that makes sense, right? The current Nico being Clancy, who became a new bishop, who became Nico. Is he fully corrupted? Or is he somewhat less corrupted? Is each new iteration of Nico somewhat less corrupted than the one before? I don't know. I'm not putting this out as actually a theory that I'm fully behind. This is pure speculation. I think it's an interesting way of looking at it. He's sad because he's killing a citizen of the community he's a leader of. He never wanted to kill him. I don't think that's true. I mean, okay, fair. Like, look, I get what you're saying. Like, he had plenty of opportunities to kill Clancy in the past, and he didn't. I think the reasoning there was simply that he wanted to use Clancy as an example because he had become known by the Banditos. But the whole system of the community that he's the leader of is geared around killing the citizens. That's the entire practice of vialism. Results in their death. So I don't know, like, is he sad because he's having to kill Clancy instead of Clancy killing himself? Maybe, but I don't think that's really what's going on. But send back a counter argument. I'd love to hear it. First time I heard so few, so proud, so emotional, I got chills. Nico and Clancy switched bodies. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I don't fully understand that theory. But maybe. I mean, I understand the theory. I don't fully understand how it would work in the story. But I've heard that a lot, and it's not unreasonable. So for us to go no lag, that's awesome. So anyway, in short, that's kind of just that would be my answer. I don't think they ever met in person. I think there's a possibility that in some way, perhaps Nico deep down and understood what was going on. But I'm hearing you talk about JD for a while. Who is that person? Can we expand on that real quick? JD is spelled Jady. It's a band that was formed in like 2022, maybe 2021, who've put out 3 albums, and they make music which I think is very approachable for fans of 21 Pilots. They have a lore story that they're building out. I did an interview with the band back in October. So there's a playlist on my channel. I think it's just called JD Music, where you have all the videos where I've talked about JD or talked to them. So if you want to check that out, that kind of expands upon it in that way and kind of gives an overview of some of their lore. But definitely check out their channel, some of the music that they're doing. Check out the Echo Chamber music video. Got great music. They're a small band who's growing, and I think are doing really interesting work. So there's definitely been recently a lot of overlap between fans of 21 Pilots and fans of JD. Here's City Walls at the end of Paladin Straight video. Yeah, everyone wondered when that video first came out what that was, but now we know. There's something else I saw. When the Dema edit of Paladin was found, that was so exciting. Yeah, that was really cool. No one ever told anyone to look for the Paladin video, and it was found. How crazy. There was some speculation that we should look for the Paladin video around that time. They didn't tell anyone to look for it. I don't think the band ever told anyone to look for the Paladin Straight video. But given how delayed it was and sort of some of the clues within the digital remains, some of us started, well, I wasn't terribly active in actually looking for it, but I certainly was on board with the idea that we needed to. Posted on Citizen video, awesome. Wondering what you thought when Level Concern Scale Nicey came out, since it sounds so different from Trench. Yeah, I talked about this very briefly earlier in the stream. In short, I wasn't a huge fan of the sound, but mainly I was concerned because I thought they had abandoned the lore. Looking back at it now, retroactively, I have a lot of respect for that era. I just, in the middle of the era, I didn't quite understand it. Straight chills when I heard City Walls for the first time. What you thought when Scale Nice? I just answered that. All JD fans are top fans. Not all of them, but I think a good portion are. So I knew I heard it building up. City Walls, Paladins, right? Yes, exactly. Moving on. We have a comment from Cosmo. For Perligo Ponders, I desperately wanted for Clancy to use the net horns to use the power of vialism. In my mind, he'd control Trash and burn down Dema. Do you think they might have been heading in that direction, but ultimately changed? Or if not, what do you think is wrong with that hypothetical ending? Would this have been really epic visually to see? Yes, 100%. Would it have taken a bigger budget than they had for Paladin Straight or City Walls to pull off? Not necessarily. I mean, maybe. I don't really understand all of the ins and outs of CGI budgets and things like that. But I think, they already were using some CGI. They'd already built the CGI model for Trash and so on. I think it wouldn't have been impossible to do something like that. Just have a very quick flyby shot of Trash swooping in and burning it. The main problem I see with that, though, is that Trash is dead at this point. And, he's dead before we see him in Saturday in the outside. However, in those instances, he's being seized. And from what I can remember, I don't think, unless you understand Clancy to be a rare exception, and that's a sort of other theory, but leaving Clancy aside, because he obviously is an exception anyway. Haley Bailey, glad you're back. I don't think we've ever seen a vessel seized more than once. And please do correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm misremembering something. But Keon's is seized once. The vessels in the live stream are seized once. And all of these vessels are decaying as they are seized. And they start falling apart. And, the Trash the Dragon is seized once. And so my thinking is, you can't seize him again. So Clancy couldn't bring in Trash, even if he could somehow get that seized vessel to breathe fire, which maybe it could. I don't know. They could make it attack a submarine, so maybe. But even if that were possible, I don't know if that would even be possible, right? I don't think it would be possible to seize a vessel that's already been seized. I think that's the main issue with this hypothetical ending. Would have been cool to see? Yeah. I mean, I think the ending we got was cool too. It really comes down to, did Clancy actually want to completely destroy Dema or not? But yeah, I think that's unfortunately the main issue with it. Because I remember when we saw the images of Dema burning before the Breach saga started, we were still just looking at the digital remains images. There was some speculation floating around that Trash might come in and make a return. But I think that is one of many reasons why that didn't happen. Morph was a hint. What's your favorite album cover? Of all albums ever, or of 21 Pilots? I mean, both are hard questions, honestly. It's fun how the contract was kind of a distraction between Paladin and City Walls. Yeah, that's fair, because Paladin goes right into City Walls. As a fan since Trench, do you believe now in the retrospect that the ending depicted in City Walls was always the plan? Could you see signs of it from the beginning? I think you can definitely interpret signs in. And I think certainly a song like Leave the City sort of implies a contrast between escape and life, right? That's a very weird way of phrasing it, but he says in that song, in time I will leave the city, for now I will stay alive, which implies leaving the city will be his death, which it was. And so now whether or not that's exactly what he was trying to say, the surface level interpretation, or if he was saying something more along the lines of, I feel like this is my home, this is the only place I can see any sort of life because I'm so trapped in this world. That's another possible interpretation. But I do think there are things like that you can sort of look at. Lyrics in Neon Gravestones. Promise me this: if I lose to myself, you won't mourn a day and you'll move on to someone else. That's exactly what the Torchbearer does at the end of City Walls. He doesn't really mourn. He does so very briefly, but he doesn't mourn for a whole day. And he moves on to the next clancy. So, things like that, yeah. But whether or not, that's sort of like, this could happen versus it's going to happen, I think you can have some debate there. Even lines like, and we'll actually see a question related to this, but lines like, we'll win, but not everyone will get out. What are your thoughts on the theory that the band never intended on using digital remains as a puzzle? I think, I don't know. I think there's enough in the Clancy digital remains that kind of, it's hard to see it not being somewhat related to a puzzle. They just, certain aspects of it fit together so well. How long can the bishop seize a vessel before completing his case? I don't know if we know specifically, but if we watch over the course of the Clancy live stream, which is like an hour, they start out pretty good, and at the end they're pretty decayed. So my mom wanted to show me her Adidas track jacket. Very nice, very nice. Morning was near perfect. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. All artists and 21pilots. Okay. All artists is hard. I don't know. That's a tough question. I'll start with just 21pilots, and even that's really tough because Trench is my favorite album, but I think artwork-wise, I think Blurry Face has the best artwork of all their albums. And in some ways seems like, it's just the basic 21pilots album because it's the one that everyone knows, and it's, but I think what they did with that album cover is really good. And it's the kind of cover that you can display without necessarily, like, you could display publicly without people necessarily needing to know who 21pilots was, and it still is like, that's a cool piece of art. Whereas, 21pilots Trench in big letters with a bird, it's a little more in your face. And I like a lot about the Trench artwork, so I just think, and I think the Clancy and Breach art covers for those albums felt weaker to me. I think something about having the figures, the band members themselves on the artwork worked. It wasn't necessarily bad, but I think there was always something a bit that I liked more about keeping things a bit vaguer and not having the band members on the cover itself. I do really like the 21pilots self-titled album cover though, but I think Blurry Face is a bit better. I'm trying to think through some other ones though. Yeah, I'll say Blurry Face for now, but I'll think about it more. Maybe in a future stream when I'm going over my vinyls, I can point out another one. Listening to Overcompensate, my mom said I didn't know you listened to rap. Fair. Time I'll try to fight for Leave the City, but I'm just going to stay alive for now. He was too weak to fight. Yeah. Song Truce about the ending has same themes. Sure. So it's related to the hiatus and being handicapped by his mental health despite wanting to make music. Of all the Twin Pods creatures, Ned, Trash, Jason, and Clifford, which one's your favorite? What are your opinions on Ned? Well, I have a very brief video. It's like a minute and a half called My Problem with Ned that you can go watch if you want to have further thoughts on Ned. Really? So, okay. My favorite part about Ned is Ned's cozy fireplace. And otherwise, I don't really get the hype. Respectfully. But I love Ned's cozy fireplace. So, because of that, he's grown on me a lot as sort of a symbol of the coming winter months, you know, when I start spinning those tracks. But otherwise, you know, I think Trash is my favorite, in short. There's so many visuals of Dema burning. Exactly. Self-title is your personal favorite. I respect it. Cover for the Haze. I like the cover for the Haze. I think out of all of JD's, I think the Silver is the best album cover. And I do really like the Coward Into My Grave covers. If anyone knows what I'm talking about. But I think Silver is a really good piece of album art. It's one I really like displaying. Can I do a full JD breakdown lore? Yes, I will. I did an initial one like 2 years ago now, almost a year and a half. Maybe not even that, like a year and a bit, but yes, I can. All right, we have one more question left. Wow, got through those faster than I thought we would, but at the same time, it's also taken longer than I thought it would, so I don't know what's going on. All right, final question of Perligo Ponders. Get your final Perligo Ponders live question. Get your live chat questions in here, because we're starting to wrap up. Already went longer than I planned to, but a lot to talk about tonight, so it's still also bittersweet. Very true. Yeah, final live chat questions, if you have any more. And we'll be wrapping soon. This question comes from a Spotify listener, ABACAXI, who writes, "Hi and Happy New Year. Just listened to all the episodes, and I'm really happy I can understand it in the first place, because my first language is not English." That's awesome. Found everything really interesting. I have a question. In Nico and the Niners, they say we'll win, but not everyone will get out. Do you think this means they don't want to let the other people out of Dema? Because for me, it feels like they want the victory just to be for the Banditos and not for everyone. Yeah, this is an interesting question. I mean, looking at that line from Nico and the Niners in the context of the ending that we got is worth doing. It's worth considering. I think, in short, no, that's not the implication there. And I think, besides the fact that you can sort of, oh, thanks for the super chat, JLIL4949. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Shout out to you. Do you like XXX Tentacion? I don't know how to pronounce that. I have never heard of them. So unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have a better answer to your dono than that. But if you want me to check out their music, just post a link to it in the community tab. I keep saying that. Post a link in the community tab. And for all I know, links could be like not allowed in community posts. I don't know why they wouldn't be, but I guess for spam and security reasons. Anyway, if you can, or at the very least, put that comment in the community tab. I'll try my best to remember it regardless, but I'll check them out and see what I think. But I don't think I've ever heard of them. Going back to Nico and the Niners, the line "will win, but not everyone will get out," I think very much is either a hint at the ending or just kind of a sentiment that as they try to escape from Dema or overpower the bishops or break free of the system of vialism, not everyone who's here at the start of the rebellion is going to make it to the end, which is just a very realistic sentiment when you're rebelling against a system of government, I guess, in your city. But I don't think, and I think it's pretty clear from things that we see and little bits of the lore that perhaps you haven't had a chance to really dive into, and fair enough, that the ending and the final push at the end to free Dema is not just for the Banditos. In fact, if it were just for the Banditos, there wouldn't be much reason to go back to Dema, because the Banditos are the ones who have already escaped from Dema, and Tyler's included in that. There was a time where they were trying to get Tyler out, but he gets out. He's free, and then in the I Am Clancy video, he says, I'm returning to Dema. And he brings the Banditos with him to free the citizens. And then we see letters like the little note that's attached to the back of the Dema crime report from Elliot saying, you know, here's the plan, here's when we need to evacuate, and so on, or things like that, where there's definitely a line of communication between the Banditos and the citizens in Dema who are friendly to the rebellion. We also see this in the letters throughout the Clancy tour. So I think it's pretty clear that there definitely is a drive from Tyler and the Banditos and things like that to rescue as many people as possible, citizens or Banditos, and really convert everyone who's a citizen to the way of the Banditos, and establish the real religion back in Dema as opposed to vialism. But that doesn't quite, that isn't accomplished at the end of the story that we get. So hopefully that answered your question. Hopefully that makes sense. And thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for listening despite the language barrier. I respect that. I don't think I'll be able to do that. All right, final couple questions here as we wrap up for the night. I was talking with, what's the better transition, jumpsuit into levitate or the veil into reanimate? That is a really hard question. I think I have to say jumpsuit into levitate, but it's not. It's close. And I almost said the veil into reanimate first, but I think the transition for the veil into reanimate comes where there's a sound track, there's a track break, there's a piece of the song that comes in, piece of music at the end of the veil that then continues into the beginning of reanimate and then sort of fades away for a bit. Whereas with the levitate, what we see is the ending of the jumpsuit comes in, and then that is the music for levitate. If that makes sense. I'm explaining this badly because I don't have the music theory down very well, but that would be my vote. I was talking with JD on a comment section. I told them I'm coming to the show and that I'm bringing my vinyl silver, and they said they sign it. That's awesome. Yeah, let's see. This here is a drumstick from a show signed by Ashton, their drummer, and Jarrett, the lead singer. And then I somewhere have a shirt, and there's also a poster. So I have a couple of signed merch items. They're very willing to do it. They're always very honored that you want them to. So I need to buy Josh's drumsticks for the background. I will look into that. Yeah, as long as they're not too expensive. I don't want to spend a ton of money on drumsticks that I'm not actually going to use. But yeah, I'm definitely willing to do that. What's upcoming for 21pilots, JD, etc. video wise? Assuming you mean for what content I'm making as opposed to what they're making. A number of different things. I'm working slowly. I've only just started. I'm working on $14. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. I'm slowly working on a breakdown and analysis of the song Chokehold by JD. I'm working on a video about which songs from 21pilots discography are lore related and not, because that was a request that came in to make a video about that. There's a number of different things. Those are just examples. I could even, I think I can. I'll pop out of this real quick. Let me see. I have a list of notes here, so I can give you a brief rundown, a little exclusive inside look. What are you planning for Perligo review? That is a great question. I'll thank you for asking. I'll talk about that in a second. Obviously, I mean, the most pressing video is a review breakdown response to the Drag Path music video that's coming out tomorrow. That's going to be the next thing I'm working on. Chokehold breakdown. Hang on. I wanted to do a video talking about the non-lore meaning of Drag Path. The posters in Digital Remains. The Breach Digital Remains. Review and breakdown of Silver, but I might do that song by song. Everything that foreshadowed the ending of the story, which sort of relates to a question that was asked earlier. Where's Mark's press tour going to be? I think he's on it right now, and I think the video that we looked at earlier from his interview with Roxanne is part of it. So I think it's just interviews that he's doing all around. I have a note here that says Clancy through the discography. I don't entirely remember what that is, but sounds interesting. I'm sure my further expansion on those notes will help. Anyway, that's sort of a rough breakdown. I can't guarantee any of those videos are going to get made or anything, but that's what I'm looking at right now for that. And then also I'm working on developing a new podcast. I'll just say that. Might be collaborating with some people on that one. Very excited. So for Perligo review, I'm kind of experimenting with that channel a little bit. In broad strokes, it's a mixture of film reviews every week, and then just some general like commentary on things I find interesting, sometimes related to film, sometimes related to just broader like cultural entertainment stuff. I did a video that I was quite happy with, talking about an AI app that like you can create videos of your aging grandparents, and then when they die you have them in your phone and you can interact with them as if they're still alive. So that was the type of thing that I want to do more of, not necessarily all AI, but just sort of cultural stuff like that I find is fascinating. So it's not like right now it's primarily dedicated to film. It's not going to be exclusively film. And so yeah, so film reviews, commentary videos, and also there are more philosophical style discussions that I want to do without just being like, here's what Plato thought, but like actually, doing something a bit more interesting than that. So I have one philosophy video out. No one's really watched it. Fair enough, but I do want to do more of those, whether or not people are really watching them. So, and I think there's some audience for it. It's just less broad than like the next Christopher Nolan movie, for instance. Perligo review is great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, for those of you who don't know, it's my second channel. If you're really just interested in 21 stuff, you probably won't find it that interesting. If you're interested in hearing me talk about other random things I find interesting, then you might find it interesting. So, yeah. Anyway, with that being said, that brings us to the end of the stream tonight. Oh, another super chat. Next Semester versus Shy Away. Thank you so much for that. That J Lil 4949. Thank you so much for another one. Next Semester versus Shy Away. Next Semester. 100%. Like them both, but next semester, any day. 100%. Well, thank you all for being here. Thank you for tuning in. What was the breaking news? Drag Path is getting a music video tomorrow. Finals of the song battle are this week. I was going to work on that today and got distracted by the Drag Path news. Honestly, I just slipped my mind because of that. Yeah, great stream. See you in 2 weeks. This was awesome. Thank you, Haley. I appreciate it. Well, it's always good to see you guys here. So, I'm still blown away by the fact that enough of you show up for these to have such interesting conversations. I mean, I don't take it for granted. I'll say that. So, yeah, I have no idea what the music video would be. We have speculations, but yeah. Bye, Unc. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good night.